Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Tony Award-winning program. We got a good one for you today. I'm going to be watching Charlie Kirk make a fool of himself yet again. He has this weird fetish of making a fool of himself in front of 18-year-old girls for some reason. But let's go ahead and get into it.
I'm a proud Catholic, Hispanic American, and former Turning Point U.S. member at Utah Tech. I agree with you on a lot of topics like the Second Amendment, traditional values, and standing up to stuff like white liberal ideology and their agenda. But
Let me guess, you're going to disagree on Israel.
No, economics specifically.
Oh, okay.
I recently went to the Bernie Sanders rally. I know you guys don't like him.
Fine,
I didn't fit into the crowd,
fine.
but I agree with him when it comes to economics. I don't support any of his social stuff, but what he said about the rural working class hit home. In rural Idaho and other parts of America I've lived in, people are drowning in medical debt, working 2 jobs, falling behind when billionaires keep winning. You say universal health care is socialism, but countries like Poland, Hungary, Croatia are socially conservative, pro-family, pro-border, and still manage to support their people with health care and better wages. So how do you defend American economic system that leaves behind working class conservative people for this movement you claim to fight for?
Fine.
This is such a good question, by the way.
Fine, great question. So, would you say that you guys have some native reservations in Idaho, right?
Yes.
Or would you say that they have great health care?
No.
They have universal health care.
Actually,
Paid for by the taxpayer. Do you think the VA is a good model for how health care should work?
no.
That is universal. Think about it. The VA is government doctors, paid for by taxpayers. Any veteran.
This is such a stupid diversion. This is what is called a red herring, guys. These examples are not comparable to the countries that he listed, or countries like Norway, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, etc. Right, guys, you get it. It's funny that he's like, oh, these are examples of failed universal healthcare programs. Except we don't really fund these programs enough, and that's why they don't work. Now, I'm sure they have other issues related to how they're organized and their structures and, you know, administrative bloat, yada yada. I get that, okay? But these aren't one-to-one comparisons with countries like the Scandinavian countries, other European countries, Canada, right? These are just not the same thing. But anyway, the VA is underfunded. Like, everyone who pays attention to this stuff knows that. And Donald Trump is making it worse. When it comes to Native Americans' universal health care, the Indian Health Service, the IHS, is also, you guessed it, underfunded. So, of course, Charlie is going to bring up instances where these programs are not funded well enough. And, of course, they're going to fail when they don't have enough money, of course. But you have all of these countries that have universal health care paid for by the government, and they end up actually spending a lot less per capita than the U.S. does because it's not a for-profit industry. Not only that, but the U.S. has worse outcomes than these other countries, despite being this great market-based, profit-driven system.
Can go. The VA is the least paid for by taxpayers. Any veteran can go. The VA is the least favorable health care in the entire country, and it is universal health care. So you need to tell me why you think we should have more of Native American reservation health care and more VA health care, because that's what Bernie Sanders wants. So make your case.
No, Bernie Sanders and people on the left are not advocating for VA to be the model of our potential healthcare system. That's stupid. That's a straw man. That's a red herring. It's a distraction. Okay. What they're advocating for is to really just expand Medicare and Medicaid, which are super popular programs, by the way.
I basically just want universal health care.
No, the VA. So don't interrupt.
No, Charlie's saying it has to be the VA. It has to be the VA because that's the worst. That's the worst version of universal health care. So I'm insisting that that's what you're arguing for. But that's not. That's not what he's arguing for.
Interrupt him, please. Like, you want more health care like the VA. It doesn't work. There are waiting lines. The quality of care is very low.
Notice how he didn't address any of those countries that he mentioned earlier, right? Poland, Hungary, right? These socially conservative countries, which I disagree with on social issues, but at the very least, they do have socialized healthcare. He doesn't address that at all. It's weird.
The complaints are through the roof. Bernie Sanders wants our entire healthcare system look like the VA. Defend it.
I'm just saying that I'm not.
Defend an argument that you're not making.
asking for like, UK and Canada have super long lines in their healthcare system. Universal.
No, it's not even abstract. I'm talking about the VA is a real American example. It's not about Canada. It's not about the UK.
I think it should be reformed.
No, forget the reform. The VA has hundreds of billions of dollars of funding. It's taxpayer funded. The veteran pays nothing. They go there and it's all paid for. That's what Bernie Sanders wants, and it's
The veterans pay taxes, though, right?
largely a catastrophe. So show me and tell the American people why we should do more of that.
I think we should have a new system, though.
Okay, but it's not a new system. Bernie Sanders wants the VA for everybody. I want
a source on that. Can you point to me? Do you have a link in the description, Charlie, where Bernie Sanders is advocating for a VA model for universal health care? I don't think that exists.
you to know what you're advocating for when you say that you want Bernie Sanders health care. You want the VA. Okay? Here's what we want.
Why is he's being weirdly aggressive about this?
We want, of course, more competition.
You're being too alpha, bro. It's making me uncomfortable.
Price vouchers, what the hospital lobby put on defense. But honestly, we want to be able for you guys to choose the doctor of your choosing, to be able to say, you know what? I don't want to have.
Charlie Kirk is applauding the cuts to Medicaid, which is going to screw over, again, rural people like this guy, right? Because they're going to be closing down hospitals in rural areas. So they're going to be fucked. And Charlie Kirk likes that.
Have to take 6 vaccines when I walk into this doctor. I want medical freedom. Where in the VA or in a government-run hospital, you must take those vaccines. There are no exceptions.
I do believe in some type of privatized healthcare, but I
Well,
think
then you don't believe what Bernie believes.
The government should support that.
Well, hold on.
So more affordable people
by
can
the
afford
government, you mean the taxpayer. So
Yes.
therefore, you mean higher taxes for working people. Because every time socialists
No, higher taxes for the wealthy, and maybe a moderate increase in taxes for the middle classes. But I mean, look, if your healthcare costs go down more than your taxes go up, that's a winning scenario for you, and you get healthcare.
is tried, every time it is taxes on more working people. He might say it's more taxes on billionaires. He might say it's more tax on the rich. It's everyday carpenters, welders, police officers, and people that work their hands that end up paying more in taxes.
I'm starting to be a CNC manufacturer.
Great,
So
and Bernie Sanders will raise your taxes. That's the fact. And you know what Donald Trump is fighting for right now? And Bernie Sanders doesn't have the courage to vote for it? No tax on tips. No tax on overtime.
Yeah, guys, I would encourage you to look up the no tax on tips. It's not as straightforward as the Trump administration or Charlie is making it out to be.
So let's talk about you. No tax on overtime. What would that mean for your specific industry? A big, big, big income boost for your family. Massive, in fact. Yet Bernie Sanders won't even vote for the Trump tax bill that will have no tax on overtime.
And the no tax on tips does sound good because I do also work as a bartender at a
So
restaurant.
let me ask you a question. Hold on, I got to put you on defense here.
Dude, if Charlie was a true fiscal conservative and cared about balancing the budget, he would not be advocating for decreasing tax revenues. Like, how are we going to pay down the debt if we're not taxing tips or overtime? That doesn't make sense. Now, I think we should be taxing the wealthy far more than we are now. In this country, like 60, 70 years ago, the top 1% was paying 45 to 50% of their income in taxes, and now it's like 28%. It's insane. And they had a less of a percentage of the wealth of this country than they do now. So they had less wealth, and we're getting taxed at higher effective tax rates. And now, the 1% owns a vastly bigger portion of our national wealth and income, and then pays less in taxes. It's bullshit. If Charlie cared about balanced budgets, he would say, let's raise taxes on the wealthy.
Last night at the Bernie Sanders rally, 12,000 people. Did Bernie Sanders say once that we should have no tax on tips?
No, I haven't heard that.
Well, because he doesn't care for the working men. He cares about hating the rich. It's not.
He doesn't care for the working class because he wants universal health care, which will disproportionately benefit the working class. He wants tuition-free college, which would benefit the working class. Like, what is he talking about? So stupid.
not about helping the poor. It's about smashing successful people, which is against everything we as Americans stand for. It is about, oh, we're going to fight the oligarchy by two people that have never built a business or signed the front of a paycheck in their entire life, AOC and Bernie Sanders. It's so easy to say, we're going to tax the rich. We're going to hate the rich person. Yet who are the people that have the businesses, deploy the capital? Both can be equally true, where the middle class grows and we respect capital flows. What Bernie Sanders wants,
We respect capital flows? What is he even saying?
and what he exhibits, is a philosophy built on greed and envy and forced wealth redistribution.
Right, because billionaires aren't greedy, I guess. Is that what he's saying? only politicians who want to redistribute wealth so that everybody has health coverage and everyone can go to college if they want to. I'm not sure about Bernie's proposals on housing, but I'm sure that he advocates for, increasing funding for public housing. Yeah, that's super greedy. Bernie Sanders is the one benefiting from giving health care to people, I guess. I mean, he is indirectly, in the sense that, if our country is healthier and more educated, we all benefit from that. But I can't bring myself to call that greedy. All right, guys, that's enough for me. Charlie Kirk, again, being a complete moron, embarrassing himself in front of, college girls. It's his thing. Don't judge him for that, okay? It's his kink. Don't do that. That's mean, okay? I would never do that. But anyway, guys, I'm going to go take a nap. Love you. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.